One of the biggest mysteries in Black Clover is the Dark Triad, and why the creator of Black Clover chose to leave out their ages on their bio pages. This is something that is interesting because Tabata generally gives the age of every character in the series, the Witch Queen excluded, who was given an unknown tag that would be confirmed later that she was several hundred years old. But all of the Dark Triad are just given a little slash, like for some reason Tabata does not want it to be answered what their age is. We have the age of other villains revealed in the past, and we even get to reveal of their own Dark Disciples, their subordinates, their age, but for some reason he does not feel the need to reveal it, which probably means that there is something funky with the ages of the Dark Triad. There is a reason why he's not giving us the age. But there are even more things that make the entire Black Clover timeline, well, weird. The Dark Disciples, Gadaroi, and Foil are confirmed to be 25 and 26 years old in the manga, but oddly enough are shown to have been fighting alongside Zenon during the overthrow of the Spade Kingdom. The weird thing is that the overthrow of the Spade Kingdom, the overthrow of the Grim Burial family, happened 17 years ago. This would mean that Gadaroi and Foil both should be 8 and 9 years old, respectively. Though, clearly, they are not. They don't look any different, and for that matter in the manga, it doesn't look like the Dark Triad have aged much at all in the last 17 years. 17 years is a lot of time to pass for one to not look any older. There are a lot more time discrepancies in the manga, and there are at least 3 ways for the Dark Triad to actually have been able to travel through time. So I'm going to go over these time discrepancies, as well as the modalities of time travel that they could partake in this video. So please stay tuned for this theory on why I believe that the Dark Triad traveled forward in time. If you guys would love to help me out, please check out my light novel series called 9 Fates at 9fates.com. We're going to have a new chapter coming out soon, which will be the end of the first arc. And a huge announcement for the 9 Fates series coming out very soon. You guys are going to be very hyped for it. I made a community post on my channel, which featured a hidden message, and some of you guys did find it. If you guys do enjoy this video, please do leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also turn on notifications, and you can follow my Twitter linked down below. So, as I said, the Dark Triad bio pages are filled with mystery, as all of them are not given an age. Not even an unknown is applied to them, like with the Witch Queen. Then, paired with the fact that we got ages for the Dark Disciples, Gadaroi and Foil, aged at 25 and 26, and they were shown in the flashback 17 years ago, this means that they should be 8 and 9 years old at the time, and yet clearly, they are not. They don't look any older, and while there are some differences in the manga and the anime, these scenes are repeated in both. So this means that Gadaroi and Foil are adult aged during the time of the overthrow of the Spade royal family, but it gets even weirder from here on out. In chapter 231, when we get to see the Dark Triad for the first time, Dante is talking to his siblings, and he says, "Well, are you used to using the devil's power now, Zenon?" "Yes, for the most part." "Big bro Dante, come on, just Zenon? You call that fair? You even sent him to the diamonds by himself. I want to do something big and flashy too." "Haha, you've also improved greatly in half a year, Vanica." This is really weird, because in theory, Zenon and Vanica should be very used to their devils, as they have had them for 17 years now. The flashback confirms the Triad were using devil powers. It shows Zenon's devil mark, and then it shows Vanica using 50% devil power against Assier 17 years ago. So we know they had devils 17 years ago. How is Zenon not used to the devil power? So Vanica has her devil for over 16 years, and then does a specific time skip training for the attack on the Clover and the Heart, and can still only use 70%. Remember, she can use nearly 50% against Assier, and then 17 years later, she can only get an improvement of 20% devil power. Even when we see Vanica fight against Lalapechka and Gaja's flashback, we see that a lot of her torso on the left side of her body is uncovered by devil mana, even though we know that 70% covers most of her torso. This means that Vanica was actually only at 50% of her devil power when she cursed Lalapechka, which is before the 6-month time skip, which might actually imply that Vanica, after 16.5 years, could only use 50% devil mana, but in the 6 months got it up to 70%, which might imply time travel. She traveled forward in time with the Dark Triad. It seems Zenon went up to 80% because he actually got to train his power more. He got to go to war with the diamonds. This is why Vanica is complaining, which in my opinion adds evidence that shortly after they overthrew the kingdom of the Spade Kingdom, overthrew the Grim Burial family, and shortly after Assier was killed by Vanica, the Dark Triad were sent forward in time. Now, of course, it is important to give a motive and the means to travel forward in time to make this theory more credible. The Dark Triad have both of these, including multiple modalities of actually traveling forward in time. So first, let us start with motive. Well, we know that the plans of the Dark Triad, via information given to them by their hosted devils, is to begin the advent of the Tree of Qliphoth ritual. Not only are the Dark Triad needed for the ritual, but also what is needed is 2 arcane stage mages with World Tree magic and dark magic. Now, we also know that large amounts of stolen mana is also needed to power the ritual, as the Candelo fortresses worked as a way to power the ritual. This means that the ritual does not just correlate to ingredients, but also energy, power. And at the time of the overthrow of the Spade Kingdom, Yami would be 12 years old and William would be 10 years old. Maybe they were just not nearly strong enough for their dark and World Tree magic to actually power the Tree of Qliphoth. Again, it makes no sense for them to just wait and not take over the kingdoms right then, take William and Yami and begin the Tree of Qliphoth ritual. Asier was the strongest warrior on the continent, and yet Vanica was able to kill her. This means that the Dark Triad, they would be the 3 strongest fighters on the continent. They would have more Dark Disciples than either country had captains, guardians, or generals combined, and Dark Disciples are incredibly powerful. The 40% Dark Disciples could fight against Zephyr Yuno, who Zephyr Yuno could fight Zagrid, a high-ranked devil. And then even the 5% Spade Captains have stage 0 spells. Why didn't they just take over the continent at that moment? They easily could have done it, but they didn't. And I believe that they didn't because they needed time for William and Yami to develop their World Tree and dark magics into a much stronger force. Now, as for modalities, there are multiple ways for them to have traveled through time. I'm going to start with remind you guys that Megicula has time manipulation. She is the parent of curse magic, and all curse magic stems from her. And someone had cursed Charlotte to be trapped in a cage of time. So someone who was likely lesser than Megicula in the form of curse magic could manipulate time via curse magic to that extent that it would not be out of the question for Megicula to transport the Triad to a different time, forward in time. It could also be an added motive for Megicula, seeing that she needed Lolopechka for Malevolent Femcantation, a powerful female. Maybe at the time, there was not a female strong enough to do the spell, and manifest herself. Lolo would have only been 4 years old, 17 years ago. So she sent the Dark Triad in time because she needed to be with Lolopechka. Another way that they could have moved through time is Julius. Maybe after the Clover Kingdom discovered that their captain of royal blood was killed by a Spade Kingdom devil host, they sent Julius as a part of a squad for vengeance. And while this younger Julius wouldn't be strong enough to defeat the Triad, he sends them to the future, so that stronger mages could save the world at a different time. Something like kind of like Alduin from Skyrim, I believe, where he was sent forward in time so he could be defeated by the Dragonborn. Now this probably isn't too likely, because I feel like this is something that Julius would have been brought up at this point, if he had actually done this. We also know that there is a Time Devil in Black Clover, and this Time Devil may be behind sending the Dark Triad to the future. This actually could clear up some questions like how Lucifero was possessing multiple people at once. Morris is pretty clearly hosted with Lucifero. It is the same exact mark. But what if that is because once Dante was teleported across time, Lucifero would then later contract with Morris, because then he would have no host of the time because Dante is in the future. This also explains another weird event and ties in another one of my old theories. Lucifero trying to make Libe his host even though he is already contracted with Dante. Well, this ties into my theory that Asta was sent forward in time and was actually born before Licht died. Now please check this theory out after this video, but I will briefly summarize as to why this is the case. But this theory is that it makes no sense for Lasita to have the 5-leaf Clover Grimoire, because Sekret was guarding it. But we do know that shortly after the fight between Demon Licht and Lumiere, Sekret was asleep from the forbidden magic, and ample time for Lasita to have found the 5-leaf Clover Grimoire. We know that before Lasita found the Grimoire, she dropped Asta off at the church, and then she finds Liba. And we know that facing the door of the church is supposed to be the ancient demon, but in the scene, it is not there. Also, when Lasita drops Asta at the church, the tree is alive, and the church looks well built, whereas when the father finds them, the tree is dead, and the church looks shabby, which implies that time had passed from the moment that Lasita dropped Asta at the church versus the moment when he was found by the father. Not only that, but the episode is titled Faraway Future, which imply that that is where Asta was going to after being dropped off at the church, to a faraway future. So in this conjoined theory, the Dark Triad were sent to each future so that they didn't have to wait for the Qliphoth ritual. Also, Asta was sent forward in time by the Time Devil so that he would be there to stop the Dark Triad. I had a theory where Astaroth could be the Time Devil, and he could actually be good, neutral, or at least just not on the same side as Magicula and Lucifero. This is why the Time Devil never hosted one of the Zagretes siblings. Maybe the Time Devil has actually been working with Julius all along. It would explain why Julius has 2 magic types, the ability to transform into other people, as well as using time magic. I'm going to give a quick summary of this theory. So, you have that Tabata did not give us the ages of the Dark Triad, and he did give us the ages of the Dark Disciples, and it's weird. They were alive and adult-sized 17 years ago, but they're only 25 and 26 right now, which doesn't make sense unless if the Dark Triad and the Dark Disciples traveled forward in time. So this is not just the Dark Triad traveled forward in time, it's the Dark Triad and the Dark Disciples, or at least these ones. And this is explained by Zenon and Vanica only recently getting good with devil magic, even though they've had the devils supposedly for 17 years. It explains why they needed to go ahead, because they need to wait for Yami, because Yami and William needed to get stronger for the ritual. It explains how Lucifero has multiple hosts because of time manipulation. We know that they can travel in time because Mechicula's curse magic can manipulate time. And it goes in tandem with my theory of Asta being sent forward in time because it makes no sense. Sekret is supposed to be watching over the Grimoire, but Lasita has it for some reason. Also, where is the ancient demon in the background when Asta's dropped to the church? Why is the church in good condition with lively trees when he's picked up by the father? The trees are dead and the church looks shabby. So it explains multiple aspects of the theory, explains why the Dark Triad are not given an age. But let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Please let me know if you agree with me on either theory. Like, subscribe, comment, turn notifications. Hope you guys all have an amazing day. Plus...